African. What you tuned into Backpage, the ultimate leader in sport. Buckle up and hold on tight, and let's get interactive right on the program from right about now through to 13 hours. All right, let me take this moment out to introduce our discussants to help us look at today's talking points in detail. On my far left, I do have Andrew joining us one more time. Andrew, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo, and good morning, dear listeners. Once again, it's that time of the day on Saturday where we sit, enjoy ourselves, talking about nothing but sport.
Okay, all right. Adjacent to Andrew, I do have Julius. Julius, welcome to the program one more time.
Thank you so much, Lorenzo, for having me this morning. How are you doing? And lovely good morning to our beloved listener. This morning it's good to be back here, and I hope we're going to have a good time this morning.
Absolutely. All right. And last but not least, in the meantime, I do have Chair in the studio. Chair, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Like Andrew stated, it's at a time of the week again where we sit back to speak nothing but sports.
Awesome. Today's motivation, who's sharing? Is it Chair or is it Andrew? Well, either of you does the sharing. Let me just try to realign the camera.
I'll give it.
Okay.
I'll give it. Yeah. I wanted to speak much more on, the COVID-19, that when we find ourselves in such a scenario, it's very, very important, for the clerk, for the church to be able to come out in the open and show leadership. Leadership by a fact that we've seen that when we get into the Bible, we see people like Moses, people like Aaron were able to show leadership in terms of, being there when, the West came to the West. I'm reminded, when you go to Numbers 16 and thereabout, where you have the time that, Dathan, Abiram, were able to challenge the leadership of Moses. And what happened, Moses was able to come good, and, he called upon the wrath of the Lord, and the people the chorus of this world, they ended up being swallowed by the earth. Now, the Israelites came out in multitudes to challenge Moses to say, why did you kill, these people and 250 others? And as a result, the Lord, was not happy. What happens is when all the people came out in multitudes, the Lord did show his anger. And as a result, we are given to understand that 14,700 people were able to die. But it's Moses and Aaron who I'm specifically, trying to highlight, because with them, they did show, leadership. At the time that, the angel of death was causing that death, Moses was able to tell, Aaron to say, pick up your incense, pick up your censers, and stand between the living and the dead. And truly, Aaron was able to stand between the living and the dead. And that's how, the angel of death was able to stop. That is leadership. That's why in the event of this COVID-19, we're talking about the leadership of the clerk, the leadership of the church. The church must come out because we have a commission. When Jesus was living, he gave us a commission. And it is that commission that now must come to the fore, that the church leadership must be able to show, that the clerk must be able to stand in the midst of COVID-19 and be able to say, in Jesus' name, this disease is out. In Jesus' name, it will come to a standstill. But as a result, what we are seeing is a layback. The church has laid back. The clerk has also, gone into what I may say oblivion. They're not, coming out to be able to show leadership.
Yes.
Truly, the church must come out. The leadership must come out. This is a moment that, the clerk must be able to show their true colors. They must be able to show their leadership and be able to stand in the gap. That's the word of the Lord.
Awesome. All right, Chair, I would like to appreciate for the timely word coming through. All right, I'm trying to have us establish our Facebook live feed. I'm struggling, but we've managed to actually go on YouTube live. So just go onto YouTube, look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV. All right, you'll be able to catch us live in living color. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the red button. We'll definitely appreciate you getting on board. Going forward, we'll definitely be running promos of that subscription as well. So you better stay tuned not to miss out any single beat of it all. The number for you to call us is 0960-200-490. At a push of a button, I'll put you through, and then I'll be able to get interactive right on the program. All right, now Gentlemen, well, Lucy is unable to join us today, but she'll definitely be back next Saturday, and we anticipate that the other members will probably also be coming in as we get to discuss. All right, now, gentlemen, we have to start with the ruling, the court ruling that came off the Court of Arbitration for Sport CAS. That was yesterday. All right, now that is our point of discussion for our initial interaction, and we'll build it up from there. Now, the Court of Arbitration for Sport CAS yesterday dismissed the appeal by Zambia's soccer icon, that's Kalu Shavalia. Now, Kalu had petitioned the Court of Arbitration for Sports body, all right, or the Sports Arbitration body, to compel the Football Association of Zambia, gentlemen, FAZ's Ethics Committee's decision to bar him to be declared null and void. In any case, he was challenging the FAZ Ethics Committee's decision to bar him to be declared null and void by CAS. Now, the Court of Arbitration for Sport in Lausanne, Switzerland, dismissed with cause Kalu's appeal. All right. So CAS appointed arbitrator Andre Branches, and he actually stated that the Fathers Ethics Committee arrived at the decision to make the candidate of Kalu Shavalia ineligible properly and without prejudice. All right. Now, before I get to read a certain section of that ruling, I would want to get your thoughts, gentlemen. Of particular interest is page 11 of that 14-page ruling. All right, today I won't go all the 14 pages, but at least I'll touch 11. I'll touch 11. I know Andrew would always want me to go all the way so that we get to have people understand. But okay, today I'll touch 11. But before I get to page 11, I would want to get your opinions, gentlemen. I'll start with Andrew. What do you make of CAS's decision to throw out Kalu's challenge of the FAZ Ethics Committee's decision to bar Kalu Shavalia from standing?
Lorenzo, a lot of things have changed in football today, and football. Once the football governing body wants football to be run by people with a certain class, people with a certain standing in society, people who have proved themselves that they are capable of handling such matters at the highest level. So those inclusions in the constitution of FAZ actually came from FIFA. So FIFA cannot go against things that they set up to say this is how we want football to be run. So it's from that background that we are seeing that ruling today. And it's really unfortunate that it had to go this far. It would have been good that just at the time when Kalu saw that things are this way, basically just to stop and try other things. For me, I look at Kalu as a world icon. So he's not only a Zambian icon; he's a world icon. I mean, he's known world over. As far as football is concerned, Kalu is known world over. So there are so many areas where Kalu can fit in and perform very, very well. I mean, he did very well with the South African 2010 bid. He was one of the ambassadors that traveled the world to go and lobby for South Africa to host the World Cup. So he can fit in a number of situations extremely well and do very, very well. He's been at the Football Association of Zambia. The best is for him to go and take his skills at the higher stage, compared to the Football Association of Zambia, and leave others to do the running of football. Because he's been there, he's done whatever he could, and
there's nothing left to achieve.
He brought us the Africa Cup. We appreciate so much. I mean, he played at the highest level when he was a player. So, really, it would be good to see him, sitting at the highest level in football elsewhere. Not even in football, probably in other ambassadorial jobs, because he is a world icon, like I said earlier on.
Okay, all right, Julius, what do you make of what came out of Switzerland at the Court of Arbitration for Sport? Do you think it could be, before I'll ask Chair that question, but generally, what do you make of that ruling by the sole arbitrator appointed by CAS?
Yeah, well, it's very sad that things have happened this way. But then at the end of the day, Lorenzo, there's nothing we can do about it. The ruling has already been made. So I think it's high time for Kalu to just move on. Like Andrew has said, he's just not Zambia's icon, but then he's a world icon.
He's a brand icon.
Exactly.
World brand icon.
And we appreciate the work that he's done for Mother Zambia, of which we really appreciate that. But then, personally, I think he wouldn't even have gone ahead and
or if it went down to you,
and
he shouldn't have gone that route.
Exactly, he wouldn't have gone that route. Just after being ruled out by the ethics committee, I think he would have just given up and decided on doing something else. But for him to move on and just go ahead, man, and then look at the result that has come out, it's really sad. But then at the end of it all, the ruling has come out, and there's nothing he can do about it. Though other fans out there are saying no, he can still push and see how best they can still work out something. But I think for me, I would say everything has been done, and what he should just do is for now back off and do something else. I think he can. Actually, think he can do. He can do far much better. You know, him being an icon, so he can do far much better. He shouldn't just restrict himself to the first elections, but he can do something else.
Chair, is this the end of the road on the part of Great Kalu?
Yeah, from more indications, you know, if elections were to be held today, it means the name of Kalu Shawalia won't be on the ballot. And that, you know, being the case, it means that it's the end of the road. But we need again to understand what was he seeking. He was seeking, you know, provisional measures and was challenging his disqualification as a candidate for the Zambian elections. And as a result, you know, like you've indicated, the sole arbitrator did indicate that again, before that, he wanted an expedited, you know, answer to that. He requested that it be expedited proceedings, so that in the interim, because we all know that elections could have been held today, today being the 28th, and he wanted also if, you know, the CAS can be able to make a ruling. So the CAS has made the provisional ruling, and that says that he's not eligible to be able to stand owing to the rules that have been set by the Zambian FA. So to answer your question, Lorenzo, it's the end of the road for Kalu. But we need again to understand that the same elections that we're talking about have been stayed owing to the fact that there's a High Court ruling in Lola, you know, suggesting that you know, the elections be able to be halted. But that as it may be, it's Kalu that had gone to CAS, and it's the name of Kalu that we are talking about, and that we must admit that it's the end of the road, because CAS is the last court of appeal. Unless now somebody can decide to go to Lausanne, you know, in Switzerland, to be able to challenge it in a court of law. But we again be reminded that there are costs that have come with this ruling, you know, from CAS. There are costs again that have come with this ruling, meaning that even if somebody was to go to Lausanne, you know, to be able to challenge again, there'll be other costs. So that being the case, the name will not be on the ballot. We are, you know, by all indications, is the three names of Andrew Kamanga, Emmanuel Munaire, and Akim Ngole. Joseph Ngole, sorry. Yeah, Akim is the son, you know, and the referee, so we tend to confuse. Yeah, and Joseph Ngole, those are the names that will be on the ballot. But again, without, you know, forgetting that there is still a stay in that. But what are the consequences of this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, that's $1 million, you know, dollar questions. I think for me, I don't think we should be able to celebrate, or people should start celebrating.
Yeah.
I think let football be a winner.
Yeah.
You know, this, I want to understand that football is a winner.
Yeah.
And football must continue. Zambians enjoy football. We all know that, assuming we were, you know, banned by FIFA, we wouldn't, you know, travel to Qatar 2022, in which we're in the running, the Africa Cup of Nations. The girls have been qualified for now. Tokyo 2021, we still have the Chan tournament to be played, in which we would have qualified. So really, we would have lost out on those things. So it's important again to be able to say that football is a winner. Whoever may be happy and glad and start celebrating now, I don't know. I think it would be misconceived, because really, football comes with results. And whoever is going to win these elections, you must understand that the Zambian fans, the Zambian people would want results on the pitch. Failure of those results, again, it will be trouble. People will be in conflict. People, all those things will come up again. So really, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing like celebrating at this moment in time. Yeah. Kalu, I want to believe, has read this and he understands the consequences of this, and he must accept that the road has come to a halt. Yeah, munakumba pombeba. Ngati mukumba tungambwa. Tungambwa tumaenda pansi maningi. So ngati mukumba tungambwa. Mugodi usoba ukasoba nichi wa goma.
He just had to believe.
So you're not going nowhere.
Yeah. So it's a dead end. Let's accept it's a dead end. Yeah. So for those the three that I've named and mentioned, those are the people that will be in the elections. Assuming again the High Court in Dola does give leeway that elections can be able to proceed. Yeah. Sure.
Let's try to see if we could get a call. 20960-200-490. That is the number. But in the meantime, let me get on to your text messages that are coming through. We seem to have a problem loading our Facebook live feed. So in the meantime, please catch us on YouTube. All right, log on to YouTube and look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV, and then you'll be able to watch us live there. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. All right, before we actually go any further. So let me get on to comments that you're sending through via YouTube. Adam Chiokoma says, "Good morning, brother Lorenzo." All right, Chair, and the gentleman there is Kalu fighting with the FAS leadership over now? Please clarify. Is Kalu's fight with the FAS leadership over now? Watching live from Mutendere.
Yeah, just to answer very quickly, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a fight with FAS. Oh, wait, it's a fight with FAS, we must admit, but it's a fight for him to having wanted to have his name on the ballot, for the to contest the election, the forthcoming FAS elections. So in a nutshell, that is over.
All right, then Shadrach Sakalika says, "Morning, members of the August House. You are strong, sedulous people. May the Almighty God continue to bless you during this difficult time."
Amen.
Thank you, Shadrach.
Amen.
All right, and then Sydney Banda says, "Mr. Andrew, you look different offline. I mean, listening to you from radio." Okay. Sydney must have met you somewhere.
Whatever that means.
I think he must have met you somewhere.
Yeah,
probably.
All right, then Peter Peary says, "Kalu should leave Kamanga alone. He did his part. It's now Kamanga's time." Then Francis Lukonde says, "Awesome program. I always enjoy it on a Saturday morning and afternoon. Backpage ni breakfast, first hour, na lunch, second hour. Tuned in live from Mufulira." Yes, like Andrew says, excellent. Mufulira. And then Sydney Banda says, "Morning, enjoying from Dola." Francis Movita, aka Deep Six, says, "I'm enjoying the program of yours. Deep Six here in Chilenji."
This is our friend from Lusaka Water.
Yes, the gentleman that was part of our social tournament. That was at Hero Stadium.
Deep Six, meaning that is a defensive midfielder. Sometimes coaches would want to play two defensive midfielders. You have a deep six and somebody on 2 sixes. One is a defensive, one is an attacking six. Yeah. So him was deep, meaning he was a defensive midfielder.
And he played that role very well on Team White against Wamuzo's Team Red
at Hero Stadium.
Yes, at Hero Stadium,
where I scored the goal. You remember before everybody scored?
Yes.
And I celebrated.
I remember
before Chris Katongo could score a goal. I was the first to
was
score
the first one.
at Hero Stadium.
Definitely.
I had to say it out.
He had to brag.
Blowing my trumpet.
Yes.
Okay, so let me try to see if I could get a few text messages and also keep reading your comments. Sydney Banda says, "Kalu should not be petty but focus much on bigger things. See, we should look for things for ourselves, but we shouldn't look at things for ourselves but the nation at large." And then someone quotes Proverbs 22 verse 1.
It reads,
okay, all right. And then Sydney says, "Chair, I need that jersey." All right, so we want to have your jersey, Chair. All right, and then let me get this call. All right, you're through to Backpage. Good morning. Is that Morgan? Kindly speak up, brother. Yes, I can hear you. And kindly speak up as well, my brother.
Okay. I just wanted to ask Lorenzo something.
Mm-hmm.
Who set the questions for the integrity test?
Or who set the questions for the integrity tests?
Yes, because the questions are sent in a which and where, because let's say after article is office, responsible, I know for others are going to exactly want to come back. Some other people, those questions are there. Pockets of phones and whoever will walk with this and that. I think maybe they try to enter our box.
Okay.
Yes. Then I think that's where I have a major problem. Let's start like chairman. There's nothing to relate here. Maybe it's just the matter of our brother, our young boss who have set the situation. And let's see if that can move forward so that we may continue.
Okay.
Also, let's mature. The way they should now relate with power. Now also they are also a problem. The way they can actually follow lifestyle they want to come.
Okay.
Allow follow into the behavior of the kids. So I think they're also mature. The way they should be handling the man. I think it's not that they react. That's why sometimes they decide what they have.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Morgan, for coming through. Okay. All right. So Morgan asked a pertinent question. Who sets the questions for integrity tests, for integrity checks when someone wants to run for public office at Football House? All right. A quick, before you respond, let me just get one more quick one. All right. You're through to the program. Antele Daka. Yes, please. I would love you to speak up.
Muliuri.
Oh,
Sorry,
too bad.
sorry.
I hope you're okay now. Okay. Chawama at muri bueno. Okay. Zikomo. Okay. All right. So let's get to the question part. Who sets the questions for the integrity checks before I get to some more text messages?
Yeah, I think we need to be fair to the Zambian FA here in that first, it was a directive by FIFA that these things be included into the constitution of respective associations. And there was correspondence between the Zambian FA and FIFA, and FIFA guided. And having guided, this is a time that the Zambian FA had to set an emergency council emergency meeting, which was there on February 1st, if you remember very well, at Golden Pico. And having that caucus meeting, which was special, the questions were in there. There was the electoral commission, the electoral act, the ethics act, and the other one. There were three of them, and they were put to the floor. And apparently, I was in attendance as an observer. And having been put to the floor, it was voted unanimously, meaning and implying that from that date onwards, it was enshrined into the Zambian constitution, into the Zambian FA constitution. So it meant it became law. And what happened was the Zambian FA, through the Mr. Kashala, had to inform FIFA that having had a meeting on 1st of February and having agreed these with the proposals, these are now law, and we've enshrined them into our constitution. And FIFA acknowledged. They wrote back and said, we acknowledge, we accept. So that was it. That was law. Those things were enshrined into our constitution. So to answer his question, if he's asking who enacted that, it's the councillors. Yeah. But the executive had to take, command, had to take, leadership, to lead, to formulate. Having formulated them, they couldn't just push them into the constitution. They had to ask the mandate of the councillors, and the councillors came on board and agreed. Only 3 did not turn up in that meeting. Yeah. So having agreed, that's how it was. Okay. So it's not that somebody was trying to squeeze someone somewhere. No. It was a directive from FIFA. It's now even a directive at CAF level. Yeah, that these things be into the constitution. And that being the case, that's how it was.
All right. Enoch Simkonde says, following from Kitwe, regards to the team. Enoch, our good friend there, is listening in. Thank you very much, Enoch, for taking time to listen into the program. The number is 0960-200-490. Let me get to read a few more comments coming through from you people that are actually listening in. This one says, good morning, Lorenzo and panel. The Backpage family, not forgetting Joe Deco Kangaza in Matero East. All right, so this one is coming through from Pastor Ansen Shawa of Bigoka in Matero. Thank you very much for coming through, Pastor Ansen. And I hope
how are you?
Joe Deco Kangaza is listening, and I hope I did pronounce Kangaza well. All right. This message reads as follows. Does it mean that whoever involves themselves in any corruption scandal is forever barred from fast? Ngoma ya Zanako. I like the name. Wow. So Ngoma ya Zanako. This one must be a staunch Zanako fan.
Yeah.
All right. Ngoma ya Zanako.
Or in essence, it could be a drama for Zanako.
Oh yeah. It could be a drama.
I'll try to find out from Crispin Marata.
Please find out.
Or from Abdul.
Yeah, from Abdul. Oh, Marata will be able to give a good.
All right. So now,
because he's a chairman.
This is what Ngoma wants to find out. That could probably what it means. Not so. Let's have Julius come in before the two heavyweights between you. On either end of you chip in. All right, Julius. It's as simple as that, right? Whoever involves himself or herself in corruption is barred from seeking public office at Football House.
Exactly. It's like, just like you said, it's straightforward. If you are involved in evil acts, of course, that just bars you away from doing certain things. It's like away from football. When you're in church and you commit a certain sin, there's what they call, for lack of a better term, they'll excommunicate you. It's like they have excommunicated you from doing certain things. So basically, that's it's just the same with what's happening at the association. If you involve yourself in corruption acts,
just a minute there. In church, when they excommunicate you and you repent, what happens?
There are certain churches that do not allow you to come back, but certain churches will allow you to come back. But that's just for a certain period. But with football, or rather fads, immediately you involve yourself in corruption activities, immediately you're banned, and you're not going to involve yourself in football-related activities again. So to answer his question, if you are involved in corruption activities, automatically you're out of it.
All right, let me get to read a few comments. Ben Muma says, "Good morning, Lorenzo and Pano. This is the only show I'm watching live today. Then tomorrow I'll watch streaming live church service. God bless us. God help us from this coronavirus." All right, so Benny is staying home, and today it's live streaming of Backpage on YouTube. Tomorrow it's live streaming of church from home again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whether it's YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Benny, thank you very much for tuning in. With no matches to talk about, well, this is the only realistic chance of you having live in living color football action. Encapsulated in a studio setup like here. All right, then Evaristo Mudenda says, "Watching live on YouTube from the comfort of my home, missing football in general, live Siemveka Bueno without Bola."
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Evaristo. Henry Chavula says, "Morning, family. I'm investigating which court to report people for not coming on time. Notes Backpage family." That's Henry Chavula there.
That's an
All right.
interesting one.
And then Noma Mibelo says, "Good morning, Lorenzo and Pano, tuned in via headsets." Mibelo from the friendly seat in Dola, I suppose.
Yeah.
Shadrach bounces back by saying, "When was this integrity test introduced? Is it worldwide at large? Is any interference by FIFA in our running of football at FARS? Or is it any interference?" I think that is what he wants to mean. "We want these lacunas to end and be united. Kalampa for life." Sakalika Shadrach.
Yeah.
Alright.
Just to answer him on that one, I think the only way that those lacunas, as he puts it, can be undone is again calling for an emergency council meeting. It will have to be the councillors again to undo what they did, and that being the case, then you need, for lack of a better term, another FA or somebody else that can be able to to say, okay,
So the question is, should everything that was done be undone?
Well, this is what he's trying to say. But again, like I've said, you only need the council. You need to call the council in order for them to be able to sit and vote for it. Yeah, that's the only way it can be done.
But again, Chair, we have to be mindful of the fact that these were guidelines from FIFA.
Indeed.
So if the FA can undo what they did, we should expect sanctions from FIFA.
No, practically, what I was saying practically is it's impossible for it to be undone.
I was merely adding to what you were saying. Yeah. So that our listeners can understand, to say at the stage things are, it's like Chair has put it, it's impossible to have this undone, Lorenzo.
Okay.
Maybe Chair, I don't know, before Lorenzo comes in, maybe Chair, I have a suggestion. I don't know, in future, maybe the Zambian FA should go out there and begin to maybe educate the football fans out there on how these things work, because the concern for most fans is that how has this issue of ethics committee come about, because people do not understand. But for those that have that like you said, you attended that meeting, you have an understanding. So I think in future, what the
reading
exactly, maybe in future, what the Zambian FA should do is maybe go flat out there and begin to educate the people on how things work, so that in case such a scenario occurs, people should not have problem with that, but they should just be able to say, anyway, since this has happened, let's just allow it to happen.
Yeah, I think we need also to put it on record here that the Zambian FA, the current executive, the current administration, when they came into office in 2016, they are on record to have indicated that when we came into office, we found these things from FIFA. Yeah. We found them. So from 2016, yes, when we found them in office, we also asked for a delayment, 2016, 2017, 2018, up until 2020. February 1st, 2020. That's the time they were able to call the emergency council, and they, having deliberated thereof, they decided to implement these things. So the directive from FIFA has always been there. That's what.
In other words, we just say we have a bad reading culture.
Oh yes.
Well,
Yes.
they did not
Yes.
restate.
In a nutshell.
And even them, they must have, from 2016 when they came into office, they delayed. They were buying time, but they were also there was more or less like a hammer, which was on them to say be able to
has to be
implement.
done.
Yeah, this has to be done.
Yeah.
This has to be done. The integrity test has to be done. So that people that are able to come into office are of of high standards, so to say. Those kind of things. You remember you remember very well when America had to come hard on FIFA executive.
Yeah.
That led to Sepp Blatter
Blatter.
coming. Yeah, Sepp
Quite a
Blatter.
number.
Quite
actually
a number
around
of
the
them.
region,
Yeah.
Around the world.
Around the
Quite a number
world.
of them.
They were
Michel Platini.
Yes.
Here around us, we had the Bamchi from Botswana. So
yeah.
we had a number of them that were affected by this, this change of, the running of football in the world.
We had also the man from Ghana.
Yes,
I've just
yes.
forgotten his name.
Kwesi.
Kwesi Nyantaki.
Yeah.
Also, all those people
so
that
there are
fell
quite
victim.
a lot that have been affected, and it's not only here in Zambia. So let's not take it out there that this is just a unique situation to Zambia. No, it's actually world over. And the simple thing that is happening is to have integrity in football. That is the bottom line that FIFA wants, that we have integrity in football, whereby people that get into football are of high standing in society.
Yeah.
So that is all that FIFA is asking for, which personally I believe it's a very good thing, and we shouldn't always be throwing stones at it, because it's a good thing.
Yeah, just
even in society where we live, when we know that this person does wrong things, we are always with a certain attitude with that person. But when we know that this person is of high standing in society, we have a lot of respect for them. So it's going everywhere.
Yeah,
because it's going everywhere.
Yeah, this again, we mustn't get that it arose from the fact that the American prosecutors, they saw that there were a lot of monies that were passing through New York.
Yes.
A lot of dollars that were going to America, South America, and to different parts of the world. And these are things that were going on as early as 2006.
Yes.
You remember the bid for South Africa for World Cup 2006 and Germany. In fact, even Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who won the World Cup with Germany, was also cited because they said there was something amiss in terms of the monies that were going this way or that side. So as a result, America came hard on the United States of America came hard on those guys that were meeting, and they produced massive evidence. Dossiers, so to say, incriminating a lot of people. And some of them were able to save time. Some of them, they've been fined in America. Some of them, they've lost in CONCACAF. In South America, in Comebo is in South America. Or some of them, they've all fallen because of the same, these things. So FIFA now, arising from that, they said we need to have integrity in the game.
Okay. All right, we're catching a breather. On the other side, we keep on interacting right on this particular program. You definitely don't have to move a muscle. On the other side, we're discussing yet another very serious matter. The Zambia Premier League manager, Brian Mulenga, has cited Gift Chaipa and Mohamed Fati for gross misconduct in the game. So I would want to get
today we go controversial.
I would want to get a comment from the team. So Napster Stars officials, 2 Napster Stars officials have been cited for misconduct in the game or bring the game into disrepute. So I would want to get those from the panel when we come back right on the program. So don't you go away, because in a tiny bit we'll definitely be back. So here we go now for a breather. Those of you catching us via we couldn't really give you the Facebook live feed due to a technical glitch, but we are on YouTube. So log on to YouTube, look for Lorenzo Entertainment TV. All right, watch us from there, and don't forget to hit the red subscribe button. You'll be able to catch us for the part 2 of today's edition of the program. So don't you go away and join us in a tiny bit right on Backpage. Let me have